new EC Tuner Brake V2. This thing has some pretty cool upgrades done to it or improvements in the design, and I'm super excited to go over this with you and get this out on the range and see how this thing works against the V1. Before I go over the V2 improvements here, I would like to just go do a baseline of the V1 I have here on the background. The V2 I got in 30 cal. It will be going on my 308. And then the V1 here is for my 6GT, but it is actually a 6.5, and I'll go over why that's different as we go through the key features here. All right, starting on the V1, I'm going to be working from the rear to the front here. So the ports design will be port 1, 2, 3, and 4, and going forward from there. All right, so starting on the rear here, the rear has a rear self timing nut, and that is for the ease of installation under the barrel. Basically what that means is if you was to screw the barrel tuner on and you can't get it perfectly level with the gun, you loosen this set screw here, and then you loosen the brake away from the nut to where it's level, tighten the set screw, and then tighten the brake back down on the barrel itself there. So that makes it super easy. You don't have to use any washers to align it to get it to clock right. Nothing like that. Now going over the ports, the first port here is a 90-degree chamber. The purpose of that is because it creates a gas curtain to mitigate blowback towards the shooter. That job there, I'll show you on this one here, is it creates the 90, which blows the gas curtain out sideways and kind of blocks the rest of the ports, the blowback from those ports to come back towards the shooter. Then the second port, okay, that is a hybrid port. And what I mean by hybrid is it kind of uses the same technology from the rear port and the other two ports in the front. So it is a hybrid buy. It starts off 90 in the back, right? So it starts off 90 in the back, and then it kind of tapers off to 20 in the front. And that's kind of to help aid in the first two ports, and then the 90 is to help aid for the rear port to help create that thicker gas curtain there in the back. And then the third and fourth ports are both 20 degrees. They're just a straight 20 degrees to help mitigate as the gun recoils back. Those gases blow out at the 20-degree angle and kind of pushes the gun back forward. And again, that's to help mitigate that recoil as much as possible. All right, so then on the front here, now that the brake's out of the way, we're going to go over the actual tuner part. It is a toolless design, all right, and it allows the barrel to match the harmonics or the load harmonics and to provide the best possible accuracy. So basically what I'm saying is you work up a load, and then you turn the tuner to maximize the potential accuracy for the barrel. All right, so it helps dial the barrel in as best as it can. And the way it does that is it's just a chunk of weight here, and you move it back and forth to tighten up that barrel harmonics. All right, so the V1 has 3 tension screws. Now, don't get those confused with an actual set screw. A set screw is made to set something in place and keep it from moving. Tension screws kind of do the same thing. However, they allow the item that is set in the tension to continue to move, but it's under tension, and it keeps the tuner from walking. And what I mean by walking is walking either out or in. And it has 3 of them. So it has 1, 2, and 3. They come in stainless steel and black nitride. At the time I bought this one, they only came in 6.5, 30 cal, and then the 338 caliber. He didn't offer 6 mil at the time, which is the smallest one I could get would be 6.5 for my 6GT barrel here. The new V2 though, they do come in 6 mil. For the V1, they're available in a 3/4 by 24 thread pitch, 5/8 by 24, and then the metric M18 by 1 inch. And then the overall diameter of the brake, and that's from the tip to the base here, is 1.1 inches in diameter. And then the overall length is 3.3 inches there. So that is the V1. Again, this is the V1, I've got the V2 here, and then I also have an ATS on my 308 currently, which I will be swapping that out with the new V2. V2 It shares a lot of the same features as the V1, but there are some key differences there. Starting with the rear, again, the ports being 1, 2, 3, and 4. So they do share the same rear self-timing nut as the V1 with the set screw here in the rear. It shares the same 4-port design as the V1. However, that's where the differences start. The size of the ports are actually larger, and I'm gonna see if I can rotate this up here and rotate this here. You can see a noticeably difference in the size of the ports. So the ports are definitely more aggressive and larger. And then inside, internal, if you look here, if I can show the light here, maybe not there, but here, what I'm talking about is the flat piece, or the baffle inside is a lot bigger, more surface area for that gas to basically hit against and move out past the brake, which provides more effective recoil mitigation here. 4-port design, the parts are actually a lot larger. I think 30% larger, if I remember right. The first port here it's still that 90-degree, and again, it has a larger surface area on the inside, or baffle, to help push that gas to the side. The second port is the same hybrid design, the 90 in the rear. So the 90 in the rear, and then it transitions to 20 going to the front here. And again, that's to help with the gas curtain and the actual recoil management piece. The third and fourth ports are the same, just that larger baffle like before. And that should be it for the brake. Now moving towards the actual tuner part, as you can see here, it is quite a bit larger than the V1. Starting with the first obvious thing is, as I spin this, you can see that it has no tension screws whatsoever. He did away with the tension screws, and I'll take this one apart here, is he actually added a spring, a heavy duty spring here. And what that does is it basically provides the tension just like the tension screws on the V1. However, there's no tension screw itself that screws down into the metal. All it is just simply you just turn it to the number you want, and that's that. The spring keeps enough tension on the threads to keep the tuner from walking out or in. The tuner is quite a bit larger. It is 1.5 inches versus the 1.1 of the V1. Another big improvement is, as you can see, it has flats all the way around it, and that's to help aid in gripping the tuner and turning it with, say, if you got gloves on or your hands are wet or what have you. It just helps with the turning of the tuner there. The lettering here, if you can see that, is larger and more definite, easier to see on the eyes, at least for me it is. And this comes in both stainless steel and black nitride. Now the V2, it is available in 6mm, 6.5, and 30 cal, whereas the V1 was only available at the time I purchased it was 6.5, 30, and 338. He does not offer this in 338 as of right now, and I'm not sure if he will in the future. And the only available thread pitch size would be the 5/8 by 24. There's possibly going to be more options in the future for different thread pitches, but as of right now, it's just the 5/8 by 24 thread pitch. The overall length is still 3.3 inches. So if you can look, see there, it's still the same length. Everything else, the body is still the same there, so it's still the 1.1 diameter, except for the actual tuner head itself there. So that is the main differences between the V1 and the V2. Again, this will be going on my 30 cal, and I'm super excited to try to get this thing out and see. I want to really see how this tension spring works. Alright guys, well, that should be it. If you have any questions or want to know any more information about the V2 versus the V1, just let me know and I'll answer them as quickly as I can. All right. Appreciate it, guys.